Okay, so we'll do the same thing as yesterday. So Catherine will be here for a little bit and you can ask her questions. Maybe we'll look at a few videos together.
Yes, I saw that a few people have posted some things.
Yeah.
Christiana Nasus had particularly requested, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we can
put her in.
Yeah. And yeah, so does anybody have a question? We could do a couple of questions first, maybe. Has everybody had a chance to watch the channel, the challenge videos, and has everybody had the chance to write the exercise or do the Feldenkrais lesson, etc.? If there are no questions, we'll just do videos, but usually there are questions. So
usually people take time. It seemed when I was going through the group today, it seemed like everybody had really been doing a lot of experimentation, both with the written exercise and with the body information. And yeah, it looked like lots of interesting things have come out of these explorations. So it was good to read, really good. Oh, someone's posted a question in the challenge group, Sarah.
Yeah, it would be better if you post it here because now I have to go hunt it down. That takes a little while. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this might take a while, so maybe just post it again.
Yeah, if you can please copy and paste it into the Q&A here on Zoom, that would work much better.
Eva says it didn't get a warning that the Zoom wasn't recording. It should record.
That's true, actually. It doesn't show it's recording.
I thought it told me it was, but
you have to hit record.
Oh, okay. Normally it does it on its own.
Yeah.
Okay, record to the cloud.
That's
weird. I don't know why I didn't do that today. Usually it does.
Yeah.
So Canter says a lot of people are talking about the double bridle. All of a sudden, can you go over the disadvantages of early use and excessive use, like blocking at the pole? Must be the Olympics, right?
Yeah,
now everybody's gotta get there. But
that's it's a big topic.
It is a big topic.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about
yeah, double bridle is an instrument for refinement, right? It's not for getting the head down or whatever, right? Or being able to stop the horse better. But it gives you more channels of communication because you have 2 bits, 4 reins, so you get different kinds of information from the 2 bits, and the bits are designed differently, so they do different things. And in the Spanish riding school, apparently under Podhajski, the horses were ridden with or introduced to the double bridle when they were 99% free of tension and stiffness and bracing. That's what Kamikolka told us. And a good gauge for whether you're ready for the double bridle and your horse is ready is when you can ride your horse on the bit with the reins in one hand and a snaffle. So if you can do that, you can put on the double bridle. If you can't do that, then
let me just interject. The test that we like to do is can you ride a figure 8, you know, with just your seat, basically, and the reins in one hand.
In the snaffle,
in the snaffle. And if you can do that, then you and the horse are ready.
Yeah, so that the horse stays on the bit.
The horse stays on the bit, the horse bends correctly, stays on the line. You can ride it accurately. Basically, that means the horse is on the seat and aids.
I mean, one of the dangers of the double bridle is that horses can get behind the aids. Some horses naturally they suck back a little bit when they feel more metal in the mouth, or if you're not careful enough with your hands, then they can suck back. A lot of horses then, depending on how the neck is shaped, they start to evade at the base of the neck and curl up. A lot of horses get too deep. And horses can lock up the paw and then evade backwards with the neck, especially if they have naturally a somewhat longer neck. An elastic, flexible neck, they can very easily retract, and then they're no longer talking to you, basically, no longer talking to the reins. And then you create lots of new problems, you know, that can then escalate and so on. So, which is also why when you start introducing the double bridle to the horse, you go back to very simple straight lines, big circles, single track, no lateral movements, no collected work, but you start with connecting the hind legs to the bits by asking the hind legs to push and then feel the push of the hind legs in the individual reins and so on. And then once you have a good connection from back to front, you can create the connection front to back by doing down transitions and so on.
Yep.
So it's a very systematic process of introducing the double bridle.
It works super well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it prevents a lot of the problems from coming up.
Mhm.
It helps you establish the right foundation for the horse.
Exactly. And even, you know, once the horse knows the double bridle, you shouldn't ride with it every day. But I mean, in a Spanish riding school in the past, I don't know what it's like now, but under Put High Ski, they would ride 3 days a week with a snaffle, 3 days a week with a double bridle, and then they had 1 day off, right? They worked the horses 6 days a week. And 3 days a week with a double bridle can be too much for some horses.
Yeah.
Then you already feel negative side effects. You know, like sucking back or, you know, blocking the pole and retracting the base of the neck, that sort of thing. So you have to find out how much your horse can handle or what ratio of snaffle to double bridle works well.
Even once we've moved the horse into the double bridle, we still like to do a good portion of our regular work in just the snaffle.
Yeah.
So we still regularly ride in the snaffle.
Right.
It's important that there's a lot of work you can do in just the snaffle. And there's a lot of very good work you can do in the double bridle. It's very refined.
And you should always be able to do everything in the snaffle.
Yes.
So if there are movements you can only do in the double bridle, but not in the snaffle, then something is going wrong.
This is a big red flag.
Yeah, exactly. And when you know, alternate between snaffle and double bridle, then when you're back in the snaffle after the double bridle day, the horse should feel better in the snaffle than he did before the double bridle day or days.
If the horse is feeling worse, it means that it brought up some blockages and left them exposed, basically. And what you would like in the double bridle is that you maybe bring up some of those blockages, but you're able to resolve them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, just wanted to know, what are some of the problems when you introduce it too early? What sort of blockages and problems?
Sucking back, locking the
Yeah.
pole. You know, some horses might also, I don't know, open the mouth, stick the tongue out. You know, that sort of thing.
They learn to evade by bending in the wrong places because the foundation wasn't there entirely yet, or it wasn't established in the early phases of the double bridle. Yeah, I mean, before we learned how to introduce the horse to the double bridle using the system, we learned this from Carl Mikulka from the Spanish riding school. Before that, we would just put the double bridle on and start riding the horse with a double bridle.
Like everybody else.
We didn't know any better, you know?
Exactly,
And once we learned this, we realized how much better this was for introducing the horse. It made the horse go so much better, both in the double bridle and then afterwards in the snaffle. So it had a huge cascading effect, ripple effect for the horse. And of course, for the rider too.
Okay. So here, Heather Parnham Wilson says, hi from the UK. Thank you for all your help on my videos the other night. I've been practicing today. Everything you both advised, and yes, even more improvement. Thank you so much. Looking forward to doing the course. That's awesome.
That's really
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Christiana's posted the link to her video here. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, good.
Oh.
Maybe just start with that. She says, hi guys, here to share my today's work with you. Tried the tips surrounding every part of the horse, calms effectively down, I guess. I think the curling up gets much better. We engaged a lot to try to get a better balance between pushing and flexing. We'll work on lowering the hands. Difficult because always told to put them in this position. Maybe you can use the long arms to help the horse. Happy about every feedback from you. So she has 2 videos, right? One canter and one is probably walk and trot. So let me click on that link. That's short enough. Share the screen. Optimize for video. Make this bigger. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the horse is a Frisian, I think, right? And Frisian have certain peculiarities. They're in some ways they're not so easy to ride because of that. Let me see if I can. Yeah, so of course it's dark horse with a dark background is a little a little hard to see, and the rider is all black, dressed in black, right? But if you go back to the beginning, I mean, we can start with sort of the typical Frisian things, right? You can see that the hind legs stay on the ground forever, right? A lot of Frisians do that, or a lot of the driving horse breeds do that. They wait until the very last second until they lift the hind leg off the ground, which means they spend a long time pushing, and that often lifts the croup. And then, you know, if the neck is long and flexible, they curl up. And, you know, Frisians, like, I don't know, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, often had short, thick necks, so they would often invert, and it was a little difficult to get them on the bit. And then they've changed the breeding to longer necks and more, you know, dressage, riding type horses. And now the necks can be so long that they very easily get short and get behind the vertical, right? And of course, if the hind legs stay on the ground too long, so they're pushing more than they're carrying, and they're lifting the croup up, then either the head and neck will go down and the nose comes behind the vertical, or they elevate very much but with a short neck, right? And the Frisian necks are often set on very high, so, and they come out of the withers with a very steep angle, which is challenging, you know, because they almost suppress their own back if they do that, right? If they carry their head this high, and a lot of them just do that on their own, right? Then it's very difficult to get a good connection from the hind leg through the back to the bit, because that neck with that elevation and the weight that's in it will tend to suppress the back of the horse, especially if the hind legs tend to go out behind too much. So you kind of have to find a way to keep the hind legs under the body, so you don't give them a chance to get too far out behind. You may have to ask the horse to pick the hind leg up and bring it under the body before it's completely extended behind you, right? So you may have to drive sometimes when the hind leg's still on the ground, rather than when it's lifting up, right? Because you might want to speed up the hind legs a little. And so when the hind leg is more under the body, then it can protect the back, and then the horse will sooner or later discover that lifting the back and lowering the neck is a pleasant thing to do. With the high hand, you have to be careful, because that has a certain leverage effect that lifts the head and neck potentially more, right? Or shortens the neck more. So, I mean, the old rule that we learned in riding school was that there should be a straight line from your elbow to the bit, right? So, and your hand should be on that line, right? On that's sort of a rule of thumb, right? If you have a very strong seat, you can have your hands wherever you like, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I had a teacher who always had his hands that high, but he was extremely light with his hands. He was constantly releasing, and he had an extremely strong seat. He was extremely powerful here with his lumbar spine and his back. So he was a bit of an anomaly, you know. So, you know, and I would, with a horse like that, I would tend to keep my hands low. I mean, there are horses that go better with a higher hand. I've ridden horses that actually went better when I kept my hands higher. Normally, I keep them fairly low. I find most horses go better that way for me. But you can always experiment, right? You can always try and put your hands basically next to the withers, right? Next to the, your knuckles next to the withers. That creates a nice solid connection. Like where's my cursor here? If your arms are long enough, if you lower the hands, you could be somewhere close to here with your little finger, right? as long as you can still move with that saddle, and it, you need a certain freedom to move your hand if you need to, right? But yeah, the more you lift your hand, the more the horse will tend to retract the neck. Yeah, and yeah, maybe we can, since here we can see the leg position a little bit, we can start talking about the seat. And Catherine, maybe you want to start.
Well, I think what I really liked was how quiet Christiana is when she's riding. You know, when she's actually in motion, there's, you know, things are very quiet and settled, which is really nice to see. I think actually, Christiana, you said in your little description of the video that you had noticed that your hands were high. And I was going to ask you, Thomas, there's been a lot of discussion, hasn't there? Because with people with short arms, if they lower the hands, then the arms are going to be straight.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's always going to be compromises, aren't there?
Yeah, you have
what you can do according to your body type.
Exactly. I mean, Christiana has, you know, long enough arms, and right now there is about a 90-degree angle, or
yes, exactly. It looks like your arms are quite long.
Yeah. So there is room to lower the hands.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my eye is, as it often is drawn to where riders are orienting themselves in space. And so I think, you know, you may find that things would change quite a bit if you were looking more ahead and not down. That's what I would say. Because as you look down, that brings this part of yourself, this very top of your sternum, it sinks that part of you down, and it brings your shoulders forward. And then inevitably that's going to have an effect on your connection. And I think, you know, this may be a bit fanciful, but often what we're doing with our head, upper back, neck is reflected in the horse. So it may be that if you just had a sense more of looking up and out onto the horizon, that might also change what you were saying, Thomas, about the horse's head and neck.
Yeah,
that's an experiment. It may be absolutely unrelated.
It's true. I mean, it looks to me like the pelvis is tipped a little forward, right? And then the upper back is a little round, so the head drops. I mean, this is something I tend to do too.
Yeah.
And now the heel is coming up a little bit. So I think that whole posture can put the horse on the forehand, right?
Yeah.
If you can stretch your leg so the lower leg is closer to the girth a little bit, like more relaxed, more here, you know, like the front of the shin is here right now, right? If you have that more here, maybe one hand breadth more forward, that's a more relaxed position, more stretched, and engage the muscles up here maybe, so that your upper back becomes a little flatter, and then I don't know, maybe lift the pubic bone and the solar plexus, so this whole everything stretches up a little bit, and that can lift the withers, and that can lift the horse's head up. Yeah.
I mean, I think that if you lifted your eyes, you know, that would change the relationship of your thoracic spine to your lumbar spine. When your eyes are down like that, in order to be able to stay in balance, you really have no choice but to bring your pelvis a little bit tipped forward, because your upper back is a little bit rounded. Right. So you leave yourself no choice if you want to stay in balance. And actually your balance is really, really good.
Right.
So you have found a way to stay in great balance. Right. And all it would need was just a little bit of lengthening of your spine. And someone else has mentioned this, actually. How do you find length in your spine? And I think that if you orientated yourself, your eyes and your head more on the horizon, that would help. And as Thomas says, finding length down from the hip joints helps you to find length up. You get this sort of equal and opposite reaction.
It's true. Stretching the legs down helps you.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, but you know, Catherine,
grounding yourself, isn't it? You ground yourself down and you get length up.
Yes.
Yeah,
with that support, you can.
Yeah. And I mean, Catherine is right that Christiana is sitting very softly, and freezing a little rough, especially if they're a little out behind with the hind legs and pushing the croup up. They can be very uncomfortable to sit, and they only get comfortable when they keep their hind legs under the belly and they don't let them go out. but Christiane does a good job of
Really good.
setting that movement and oops.
Oops.
No, I may have clicked the wrong thing. Let me get
clicked
back to
the ad or
yeah, click
something,
the
who
ad.
knows?
Hold on, let me get back to it.
Or maybe, who knows?
YouTube.
You never know with YouTube. And
yeah, the girl
kids
who can
use
fly,
our-
Gacha Life. That's
Yeah,
one
the
of
kids.
Amira's.
The kids, their
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Yeah, we don't watch these
I
kid shows.
think they get that. I think.
Oh, you never know.
I
Right?
think it's obvious.
But okay, let me maybe do it again, because it's interesting to look at a still photo, but it's also interesting to look at everything in motion, right? It's like when you're writing, it's interesting to zoom in on a detail, but then you have to zoom out and look at the whole picture, right? See how everything works together in motion. Yeah, there you could see the horse going to a walk, right? This is something that the Frisians like to do when it gets a little time there. The hind legs are a little out behind, right? Every time the work is hard, then they lose a little power and they want to slow down or walk with the hind leg. So you may have to, when you know that you're going to engage or do something that requires a little bit more effort, drive the horse as if you wanted to speed the hind legs up, right? So it's like when you drive up a hill with your car, you have to step on the gas a little more, otherwise your car will get slower and slower, right? And it's a little bit like this when you're riding something that requires more energy from the horse and more strength. Then sometimes you may have to rev the engine, ask the horse to pick up the feet a little quicker, move with more energy, just so that you stay in the same tempo, right? So essentially, you know, my horse wants to slow down or walk, so I'm going to tell my horse to speed up, then we'll compromise and we'll stay in the same tempo, right? So that's one way of thinking of it.
So, it looks like Christiana's arena is by the sea. I think I see the sea in the background. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
I think it's
Yeah.
the flood.
You think so?
Flood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
There.
Yeah, the river probably.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
But it strikes me, Thomas, that I don't know if this is right, but it seemed like Christiana's horse was improving as she did more of the exercise. That's what it looked like to me. Yeah.
So too.
And yeah, and
Kind of really gaining an energy in the front legs, lifting higher. That's what I saw.
Yeah, and I looked at a video a couple of weeks ago where the head and neck was lower overall, and the horse was behind the vertical. So it's definitely an improvement over a course of,
I mean, it makes a nice impression.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
when you
Oh
look
yeah.
at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's look at the Canter video. So start from the beginning. It looks like in the walk here, the outline is better. The neck is a little lower, and that's, you always have to find a compromise too with that, right? With elevation, flexion, longitudinal flexion, and so on. And it's good to vary the elevation too, right? Not to ride everything with the same frame, so to speak, but you can ride, parts of the session with more elevation, which means there's more weight on the hind legs. If the back transfers that weight, passes it on. And then you can ride parts of the ride with a little lower neck, with a little bit of a stretchy feeling, or even actual forward downward stretching. And so you build in little breaks where the horse can recover, right? Where the back and the hind legs can rest a little bit with the lower neck carriage. Then you can pick the horse up again and then do some more advanced work and then let the horse stretch again. So it's good not to stay in the same frame for, an extended period of time. It's always good to go back and forth a little bit, because if you think about it, in human torture, people force their prisoners to stay in the same posture for a very long time, right? Uncomfortable postures, of course, right? And any posture becomes uncomfortable and painful if you stay in it for a very long time, you know. Even if it starts out feeling pretty good, you know, but if you have to stay like this for an hour or so, then maybe sooner or later something will start aching, right? And so when we ride, we have to think of that a little bit too, that at some point a certain posture can start to feel uncomfortable for the horse because the muscles fatigue, and you know, we need
They
to
need
let
a
him,
break.
yeah,
They need a
exactly,
break
need
simply.
to let him.
I mean, everybody
change the posture
probably
a little
knows the experience of holding your arms out to your side.
Yeah,
At first,
exactly.
that feels really easy, but
Yeah.
4 minutes later,
Mhm.
you know, you're dying.
Mhm.
You know,
Exactly.
the muscles need a break.
Right. So the Canter looks pretty good to me. So first impression is nice.
Oh, there's a lot of momentum there. I can see
Yeah.
that this is probably the gait you struggle with the most with this horse.
There's a lot of push, yeah. There's
I mean,
a lot of
yes,
movement there
A
in the
lot
Canter.
of push. It's probably not necessarily super easy to ride,
Mhm.
but you're doing a good job,
Oh
actually.
yeah, I mean, it has a good uphill feel to
Yeah.
it. It's a big stride, right? It's a
It's
long
big
stride.
and it's
which-
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. The big long Canter strides are nice
Mhm.
on the one hand, but they also have to be managed in a way, right?
Right.
You have to channel all that energy, which is a challenge.
Channel the energy,
So-
and the horse needs to
Yeah.
learn to be able to flex the hip joints so that he can absorb, or she, in this case, can absorb the weight a little bit so that the canter is not so jolting,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or bounding, you know,
Yes.
quite
Yeah.
so much. You want it
Yeah.
bounding, but you want it
Yeah.
controllable too.
Yeah.
You're controlling it,
Yeah.
but it probably at times feels like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think
I think
it's,
you're doing a good job.
yeah, it's good. I mean, of course, if you
I-
think a little bit longer, oops,
I like
longer
the-
term.
Yeah, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, if you think longer term, of course, you want even more lift of the forehand,
Of
you want shorter
course.
strides, but that takes strength. I think the
Yes,
horse
it
probably
does.
doesn't have the strength to canter more collected, so I think this is good for where you are and where she
Actually,
is.
these transitions you're
Mhm.
doing
Yeah.
are super good for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how I would approach
Yeah.
it. I would approach
Yeah.
it with doing transitions and
Yeah.
then some exercises then, of course.
Yeah, the canter
But-
depart was good here from the walk.
Yeah,
Looked
yeah.
nice and light and easy.
yes. In fact,
Um,
I bet the canter transition is much better from the walk than from the
Could well
trot.
be,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, here I wouldn't really change anything that I can see. I mean,
As far as contact and connection, I wouldn't
yeah, I
either,
mean,
you know.
yeah,
I
I
think
don't
you're-
think the horse can canter a whole lot better where she is at the moment. I think she will canter better in 6 months when she's stronger.
Yes,
I think that's really the limiting factor.
yes.
The strength.
Incorporating gymnastic exercises so that the horse learns to flex the joints a little bit more and support herself so that you don't feel like you have so much weight.
Mhm, right.
Because right now she needs to lean on you a little bit because of her lack of strength.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it for where she is in her training right now.
Mhm,
Of course, we want to improve that, but that happens with time,
yeah.
with gymnastic work.
Yeah. But, yeah, seat is relatively quiet, right? There's
Yes.
not a lot of forward, backward motion in the pelvis and the
It's
shoulders. I mean, you
good
can,
balance.
yeah, you can always try to accentuate the upward motion in your seat when the withers come up, right?
Mhm.
Just to encourage the horse to canter more uphill, like here. I mean, you're doing a good job. You can just try and accentuate that as much as you can, without disturbing the horse. But the rest will just take time. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, as she progresses and gets stronger, it'll feel a little less scrambly.
Mhm.
Right now it's a little 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you'll get more jump, it'll get a little bit more
Mhm.
cadence,
Mhm.
and it'll be easier to
Yeah,
ride.
yeah.
With a little bit more gymnastic work, that's all.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Catherine, do you want to add anything about?
Oh, I think
seat?
it's great. I think it's lovely to watch.
It is-
And
It's a
Yeah.
very nice picture.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
very nice, very fluid and very connected. And your
Yeah.
movement is great. It's just small things, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Time. It's just time. I mean, right now there's a lot of forward push and forward propulsion from the hind legs, and not a lot of lift. I mean, some lift, but
Mm.
in order to do a pirouette, there needs to be more lift. Like if you think long
course,
term,
yeah.
the goals. But that's a strength issue, and it's not something that you could change now, so that you could do a pirouette now. It's something
Of
that
course, that would be
has to develop, right?
unreasonable to expect of her
Exactly.
right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Let me see here. Christiana says, so happy about your words, still in recovery and no sea woods. Great tips. Thank you.
That's my fantasy there. I'm longing to be by the sea. I see it everywhere.
I know.
Why are they in the orchard?
Naomi Betts,
Go
has
chase it out
Frisians
and
too.
shut
She
the
says, so
gate.
true, Thomas. The Frisian trot can be a nightmare to sit when Hind's not flexed. But the good thing is that sitting trot, I know when my body is right, because the trot gets magically smooth. That's true. They become sittable once the hind legs are underneath the belly and flexing. Then you can sit the trot. And when they're a little out behind, it's like you're sitting on a jackhammer, and you feel kicks in the butt that go all the way to your brain. So, Christiana says, good to keep eyes on horizon. I'll remember the sea. Yeah, very good.
Have the transcript, but the seed.
I know.
Sometimes it makes really funny things.
I know. I try not to look at it, otherwise I lose my train of thought, because
I giggle. I
know.
giggle at the things it comes up with.
yeah.
Quite a few in the Q&A, haven't we? So
Yes,
Yeah.
that's-
Oops. Let's go look. So Carla says, what I feel is not what I get. I've been trying to get my elbows to lie flat and become connected, but every time I make a video, it's the same, too much space. Even though I feel connected and I'm concentrating on this, I have fat at the top of my rib cage, 4 to 6 ribs area. I find I cannot put my elbows very flat unless I clamp them down. I have a short video of my concentrated work today in Canter, where the space is still there despite my efforts to make it disappear. I also noticed the Olympians have space between their elbows.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Carl Hester is similar with a space to mine. Can you be connected at the pelvis and still have this space?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
yes, it's not about clamping. No.
It's not about clamping them on. It's like there's a force field that's here, and the elbows can even have space. They can be here and be connected. It's about them. It's about what they aren't more. It's like when they're not connected, they're kind of, the seat is here and the arm is left to do its own thing. You want them talking to each other, and that's the important thing. Yeah. And you're not going to see a good rider that has the arms clamped on, because clamping them on makes you rigid.
Makes you stiff in the rib cage, yeah. And I mean, you still have to be able to move, and professionals who ride a lot of horses every day, they're usually fairly well balanced and organized, and they have a lot of core muscle strength. So if they have their elbows sticking out, and I've seen professionals ride with their arms sticking out and the horses were still going okay, but they must compensate for that somewhere, right? The more you stick your elbows out, the more you probably need strength in your upper back or middle of the back. This is always a price you pay, right? If you ride like the chicken wings, then
you're supporting the horse and yourself somewhere else then, and it's probably actually less efficient.
Right.
The point is we're trying to help you find the most efficient way to sit and be, so you're not wasting your energy.
Exactly.
You're not having to use strength or skill or anything to try to compensate for something that's slightly out of balance.
Exactly.
The more we can get you into an effortless balance, and eventually it's effortless. It might not be effortless to get there, but eventually it's effortless. The less you have to work at all of these other things, and the more you can enjoy your ride, think about what you're doing in the moment. You're not stuck on trying to recover from past circumstances.
And the more the elbow comes out, the more your shoulders rotate forward, and the more likely you are to build up tension here and throughout the whole arm and hands.
Which will then have to, it has to be compensated for somewhere else in the body. That's the way it has to work. And especially if the horse is going well in spite of that, then the rider's obviously compensating somewhere else for this tension.
And I think if your upper arms hang straight down, if there is a gap between the arm or the elbow and the body, it's okay. I mean, if you think of an athlete with narrow waist and very broad shoulders, the elbows would be at a certain distance from the body, but they could still be connected, right?
Or if you have some fat here, it's okay if the arms are here. You don't want them clamped onto there, and they shouldn't be. And just let them hang where they are comfortable. Let them hang, and then
Yeah, I was saying yesterday, it's an energy connection, and you can think of expanding your lumbar spine area outwards into elbows and upper arms. Right?
Yes, think of it as, like I said, like a force field, like it's magnetic, this magnetic feeling. It doesn't have to be in actual physical contact to be in contact, right? It's more of a feeling than actual literal contact. The hips or the elbows on the hips. Well, if I put my elbow on my hip, I'm like writing like this, because my arms are short compared to my torso.
Yeah.
So, and I don't ride with my arms clamped to my sides either. Even when I was super skinny, I couldn't. So, yeah.
Carla's saying she has broad shoulders. In addition to the fat on the upper rib, so struggling with this. It feels right, but doesn't look right. Well, I think the look is less important.
Right.
Yes.
It really is. Yeah.
You're going to have to, we can watch her video too, right? Well, you're going to have to find what is right for you.
Yeah.
I need a fly swatter.
I'm muted.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Muted myself. I think to your point, Thomas, about the elbows coming out and the shoulders rotating forward, is that you'll then be supporting your shoulder girdle with your trapezius muscle, which is, this muscle in your upper back, and then you're never going to have a connection to your pelvis. When all this is well organized, it's almost like your shoulder girdle is sitting on your pelvis.
Yes.
And then the connection is very easy.
Yeah. So it's crashed here. Okay. Let me try this
look
again.
at that scenery.
I know. It
Wow.
always looks like it's one of those Western movies like Sergio Leone.
That is awesome.
I know.
We live in beautiful scenery too, but that takes the cake. I'm sorry, that's really awesome. Wow.
That looks pretty good actually here, the connection from the upper back to the elbows. There you lose it a little bit on the outside elbow in the transition, right? But the down transition from canter to trot brings a bit of a disturbance for a moment, right? In the balance, and the rhythm changes and the movement changes. So it can happen that you lose a connection somewhere and then you get it back probably a few strides later. And
I think that's just a loss of balance. There's a momentary loss of balance. Your elbows wing out because that's what we do when we lose balance. We do things with our arms to try and regain.
Great
exactly,
point.
that's what I meant. Yeah.
I do see that you hold some tension up here in your, you like, you're in yourself, in your shoulders and neck.
And,
So I think it's less about the elbows and more about
it's about the shoulder girdle.
Support the shoulder girdle over the pelvis, and this will alleviate a lot of these issues.
I think Carla might be on the rider makeover. If you're on rider makeover, the first lesson we put in there is exactly about that, about finding that something between being here and being rigidly open in your chest.
Right.
Yes.
And there will certainly be lessons around this in the contact and connection course. You're not on rider makeover, so there'll be something in the contact and connection on exactly that.
But this looks pretty good right here. Maybe little shoulders are a little drawn up, things like that. You can relax them back and down a little bit more. Let the shoulder blades slide down. I would flex my knee a little bit so the heel comes back, and try to let the knee sink forward and down, and then with your heel aim a little bit at the hind hoof of the horse, so you have a little bit more flexion in your knee. I think that will make the seat deeper and stabilize the torso more. But arms and torso otherwise look good in this frame right here too. And here the leg is a little farther back. That looks a lot more balanced and supported to me.
Yes, and then the heel there is, the foot is more level and the heel is less pushed down.
Yeah,
And that, for me, that looks much better balanced.
yeah, exactly. And there you have the shoulder, hip, and foot or heel, in one line. So that looks very balanced, and yeah, the torso is well supported there.
I think it's also worth mentioning that your shoulder joint is the most mobile joint in your body, and your shoulder girdle. So it's inevitable that things get a bit complicated around there. Because when you have so much mobility, it can be very easy to brace and tighten muscles more than we need to.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what to do with all that flexibility, so to speak. So people tend to over brace or over tighten. And of course, it's an area which I think for a lot of people reflects stresses in life, etc., etc. So
Yes.
it's a fairly habitual place for most people to express what's going on a day-to-day basis.
And, in terms of contact and connection, if you're worried about harming your horse with your reins or wanting to be gentle, all of these things, that it's a natural, unfortunately, it's a natural tendency to end up lifting your center of gravity up into your shoulders, and then you hold tension up here. It's almost as if you're trying to lift yourself away from the horse, but in the end, this actually doesn't work. It doesn't help your horse, but it's a natural evasion that the rider sometimes does. And so, but again, I think that finding stability in the pelvis and then centering the shoulder girdle over the pelvis, I think is going to be the key.
Yeah, it also occurred to me that the right lead canter of the horse is more difficult than the left.
I saw
lead.
that, and I saw how she aborted this, and I would have done the same thing. I would have said, okay, let me try this over again.
But what I was just in this next quarter circle, look at the connection through the horse's back and the rider's back, because it seems like the horse has a hard time connecting through her back, and that makes it very difficult for the rider to connect through her back to the elbows, because it's a bumpy ride, right? It's the inside hind leg doesn't flex much under the body, so you get a kick in the butt every stride, right? It makes it very difficult to stay seated in balance and soft and connected through from your back to your reins and so on, just like the horse has a hard time connecting her hind end through her back to the bit, to the reins. So it's an interesting thing, right? How horse and rider often mirror each other. When the horse canters smoothly, it's a lot easier to sit correctly, right? And to make it look easy. But if the horse is bumpy because the inside hind isn't flexing enough or whatever, then it becomes very difficult to sit correctly in spite of the horse, basically, because that's what you have to do. And then, of course, it's this feedback loop. The better you sit, the better the horse goes, right? The better the horse goes, the easier it is to sit well, right? So it's the spiral, can go up or down, right? Like the worse you sit, the worse the horse goes. The worse the horse goes, the harder it becomes to sit well.
Yes.
And then we have to find a
way
way
to. That was interesting.
Yeah. An error happened.
So
That's YouTube crapping out here. Let me reload. I don't know why it does that, but so we'll hold on a second. Let me
You could see she was really kind of leaning to the inside too. And
if you lean to the inside, that could happen. Could be a compensation for the horse pushing the inside hip up
For
and not
sure.
letting you sit on it. Then I've done that too. Sometimes like you feel like you're capsizing to
or
the
because
outside.
you feel the horse is not on the aids and you have to steer somehow, so you're trying to do it through learning.
Yeah, like that.
I have a bloody nose. Oops.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that is most likely coming from the inside hind leg. If the inside hind leg is really hard to sit and bumpy and pushes you up, then in order not to get flung off the outside, sometimes you have to somehow lean or bend to the inside. It's not ideal, but sometimes it's the only thing that's left to do, right? Then you could, of course, do transitions, right? Do a down transition, bring the inside hind leg more under the body, do it again, and so on. But that's a bit of a longer term issue in the gymnastic training of the horse. And canter can be super uncomfortable if the inside hind leg especially is not flexing enough. It gets very bumpy and very uncomfortable, and it's very difficult to sit well in spite of the bumpy horse. Did a newsletter article actually recently about the roundness and softness of the canter stride and the inside hind leg.
It's on the blog.
Yeah.
It's on the website,
Yeah.
artisticmassage.com.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's getting better though. It seems like doing lots of transitions is helping, right?
Transitions do help.
Yeah, and you can see how the seat is improving as the canter is improving. Right? And again, feedback loop back. The better you, the better she canters. The better she canters, the better you sit. So,
And also, what a change from
right.
from a couple of months ago. I think
Yeah.
that it's a really big change, Carla. So
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
much
So if you're feeling like you're working hard, etc.,
better.
maybe just kind of pat yourself on the back and see how far you've come.
Yeah,
to-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has become a lot better.
Mm.
And it's nice to see that even within this like 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes, you see a constant improvement in the quality of the canter. The first canter on the right wasn't so great. Want to watch a cartoon?
No, not really.
But yeah, so I think yeah, we've seen probably enough. Yeah, but good, interesting, huh? Okay, let's
Any comments from her?
yeah, I'm just so okay. Let me
Things we like, yeah.
scan. Yeah, no.
Rider evasions, Katie says, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are.
Well, horses have evasions, riders have evasions.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, we
Okay.
try to find a way to be more comfortable or to make the job easier. And sometimes sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's not.
Oh, here, Carla was saying, I have always been a terrible slouch. I think it will be a relief to focus on my shoulder girdle
Yeah.
instead of elbows. I've been trying too hard probably and then get frustrated when I see the video. Right hand is
No.
stiff on this horse. Little Hollywood is in Canter, Utah. Okay, I thought it was Arizona for some reason. But,
I was wondering if it was Utah. Yeah,
Beautiful.
it is beautiful,
I know.
really.
And then Steve Bullock says, I'm a natural sloucher, but my body protector is like a corset and keeps me in a good upright position.
What do you think of that, Catherine?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true though. I sometimes ride in body protector, and
Like an
it
exoskeleton.
keeps you really, really upright.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never ridden in one. I always
never have.
wonder if they limit your range of motion.
They do.
much. Yeah.
They do. I'm not mad on them, I have to say, but I do sometimes out of necessity.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mm.
You kill yourself.
Well, like knights in full armor, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're strange things.
Katie says, yes, have plenty of rider evasions, just never really thought of them like that. Katie has to make a list. Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess Canter, Utah is 7 miles from Arizona. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that somewhere near the Monument Valley? It seems like the geology is a little similar, or with these towers. Carla says, thank you. I feel
That's
better
beautiful.
now. Oh, good. Not far from Monument Valley. Okay, geologically it makes sense. Yeah. See, I've always wanted to go there. Never managed
I know
to.
we
Yeah.
never made it to that area,
Yeah.
traipsed all around Arizona and New Mexico, but
Mhm.
not much in Utah. I've been in Utah, but didn't
Carla
explore
says, I have
much.
space for you.
Oh,
Naomi says, armor is easier to ride in than body protectors. That's
really?
interesting.
That's interesting. I've never ridden in either.
Yeah, me neither. Oh, okay. Actually, Steve is my husband. I'm Chris, and 68. Yeah. So Steve Bullock is actually Chris Bullock, just using a husband's account.
Yeah.
Worried about falling off as I don't mend as well as when I was 14. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Safety
Legit.
first.
Yeah, legit issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a few more questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, let's get to it, Thomas,
Yeah.
because it's almost,
Oh, it's already 9. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
and Catherine likes to.
I know.
I have to disappear into my pumpkin.
Candice says, for Catherine, I'm thinking that riders should be able to lengthen their backs on the way to correct and flexible posture necessary to help the horse. Could you speak about this? I was especially thinking about the comment by Dr. Ritter for rider to lengthen back and contract front abdominals.
So I think lengthen the spine is a really it's really interesting question. A lot of people think that if they do this, that's length, but actually you're just lengthening the front of your spine and shortening the back of your spine. So true length is when the spinal curves are at their natural length, and that's harder and more elusive. But yes, I agree with you. If you can find length in your spine, which creates space between each vertebra and reestablishes the natural curves, then you will probably be able to, this is my big mantra, be able to move equally easily in any direction with ease. So yeah, totally. Length and width in the spine, which allows the head carriage to be forward and up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very, but I mean, it's such a complex thing, you know. It's something that you probably touch on every now and then, and it feels marvelous, only to lose it again. So to make it something you're trying to achieve all the time would be, yeah, that's a stick to beat yourself with. It comes sometimes when you do, you know, maybe you do a Feldenkrais lesson, or you do a great yoga session, or life is good, then you feel length and width.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, abdominals are a funny thing too. I mean, earlier I mentioned, you know, lifting the solar plexus more, maybe lifting the pubic bone, but that's probably something that comes more from back muscles and abdominals, right? If you have a severely hollow back, yeah, maybe you have to contract your abdominals more. If you're a sloucher, you probably have to use your back muscles more. And when I ride, I always feel like I have to engage my lower back muscles, but I slouch, right? And somebody who's hollow backed may have to do it differently.
Yes, the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, not even the opposite. It's about finding the sort of balance between the flexors and extensors.
Right.
And it's not, because the trouble is, if you engage your back muscles, then you're creating a fixed relationship. So it's the sort of play between the two according to the situation, which gives you that great feel.
Right.
Yeah.
I've just had a private message asking me if I'm sitting in the dark deliberately to create an air of mystery.
Of course you are.
Always.
Yes, I am. That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Found Catherine out.
I'm hoping to glow in the dark quite
I know
soon.
you need your black cat.
Oh, black cat and a candle.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Jackie,
Yeah.
today I was struggling to ride well with my fast changing horse, changing thanks to the what, why, how. He's becoming more powerful and round, hooray, and more off on the bit, but conversely, he's finding more ways to push forward and become heavy on me. I seem to have a rapid return of the water ski seat. I try to employ my pelbow, but with my short arms, I'm struggling to give to the movement by opening the hinge of the elbow and still keep my elbow-pelvis connection. Thank you. This one's for you, Thomas. And Shanna.
Yeah.
That's really normal.
Yeah, it is normal. Yeah, if your horse had a tendency to invert, so now he's making progress, he's getting rounder, now he does the opposite, now he leans on you or curls up a little bit. Right now he's maybe a little too deep, now he needs to learn to carry more behind and flex more.
And when they do start to push forward more, they do get heavy initially. And so in a way, it's a sign that you're making progress. It doesn't mean that, oh, good, the horse is heavy, you know, but you can take it as a sign that, okay, the situation has changed. That means you've made progress.
New step in the journey, basically, right? New issues, new
new level,
job.
new devil.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly,
you have a new thing, the next level of issues to now. learn how to
Right.
work your way through.
Yeah. So if you feel him leaning on you, then you probably have to figure out how to get him to carry himself,
Yes.
you know, and you need the elbow pelvis connection, and then you use your upper body and your torso to press the hind legs a little against the ground, you know, for a step, to flex the joints and let them bounce back, and maybe add a stirrup pressure or add a little squeeze on the rein so you half hold. Use the horse's head and neck, you know, the weight of the head and neck, in addition to your own
You
weight.
refer it back to the
Right.
hind legs. So the horse has now handed it to you. And so you can either take it and say, oh, thank you very much. I'm going to carry you for the rest of my life now. Or you can say, thank you very much. Now I'm going to hand it back to you. You carry yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm experiencing a similar thing with my
Yes.
black stallion at the moment. I'm doing little lengthenings and shortenings of the stride. And when I lengthen, there comes a point where he loses balance a little bit. He pushes a little too hard, and then he leans, like the head goes down, he gets heavy in the reins, and I feel that in my back muscles. It's sort of in the middle of the back. And I try to rebalance by resisting with the back muscles, sitting down and just closing the fingers briefly so that he pushes down into the bit, and I try to catch that and recycle it back. You can also think of it like playing volleyball, right? Where the ball comes in this ballistic curve, and then you catch it with your elbow or with your hands, and you bounce it back, right? You don't catch it and hold it, you know, because then you would be stuck carrying the entire horse in your hands, but you allow the horse to make contact, and then try to take that energy of the ball landing in your hands or elbows, and then bounce it back up. And that bounce comes from the back muscles, at least
Yes.
for me.
Yes, because you're in the right place at the right time. It takes very little actual muscle or strength on your part. You're just there, sort of like playing volleyball. You're there at the right moment to fling it back the other way. And it's not that in volleyball, it takes a lot of arm strength to do that. It's really about positioning and timing, right? And the same thing in the half halt here. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, the horse falls onto your hand. You feel it in the reins, but if you have the elbow pelvis connection, you feel it in your back muscles, and then you can use your forearms, hands, reins as a conduit, basically to transmit the aid from your seat and bounce the horse back up, right? So you take that energy that he puts into the bit, recycle it back to the hind legs. So he flexes his own hind legs, basically.
Circle of the aids.
Right. He
Okay.
half holds himself, basically,
Yes.
and then quick, catch and release, and then he's in a better balance afterwards.
You're just there at that moment to close that circuit. The circuit should always be there. You're just there at that moment to close that circuit and connect it a little bit more so that he balances himself at that moment. And then when he sits a little bit more behind, he comes up and lighter in front. Yeah. You can use your seat muscles a little bit too at that moment, the back, but also in my case, I use my abdominal muscles a little bit at that moment too, to help support that. And it helps the horse sit down behind and lift in front.
And Jackie here was saying in the chat box here, thank you for the reply. What part of me shoulder blades do I use to send his weight and energy back to his hind legs? That's a good question. For me, it's the muscles below the shoulder blade, but it could be different for you because, if you don't have my ratio of torso length to leg length, pelvis shape, etc., it might be different, right? I don't know. What do you use, Shanna?
Yeah. I actually use more abdominal muscles than back muscles at that moment. Yeah.
Interesting.
Is that the upper abdominal, Shanna? Like
just above my belly button.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I'm doing it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it because of that shift in balance, the top part will feel like it engages more.
Yeah, it does, and it just engages for a moment. It's like almost as if somebody's trying to push me over or punch me. It's just I engage for a moment.
Exactly.
And I release. It's not, I don't hold those muscles solid all the time. I might have six-pack abs if I did, but I don't, but they're there at the right moment. and to do their job, and then they release
That's
and go
quick
back to
fire, yeah.
neutral, essentially neutral. You know, I mean, you use some abdominal muscles when you're writing all the time anyway, but it's kind of a neutral, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Shanna is quite a bit shorter than I am. She's
Yes.
more hollow back. I'm a sloucher. I'm taller, so
Yes,
it makes
I
sense
have a
that we would.
female pelvis.
Right.
He has a male pelvis.
Yeah.
But I also think that you would feel those abdominals engage, not because you're deliberately engaging abdominals, because you have a slight shift in weight, and then the abdominals will engage.
Right. I mean, the
Does
horse.
that make sense? It might be just a tiny sense of sending some weight into a certain place.
Definitely, I'm thinking about shifting the weight into the hind leg
Exactly.
to support that I have to.
And then your abdominals will come in because you're shifting the weight.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's a reflex almost, because we've done it a lot.
Right.
And I guess for me, it's, maybe the thought process is that I feel the horse trying to pull me off the hind legs by pushing onto the bit, right? So my thought then is, or used to be, don't get pulled off the hind legs, stay on the hind legs. And then the body engages whatever muscles I need in order to resist that pull.
Exactly.
You know? And for me, it's back muscles. I feel that very distinctly. I mean, somewhere here,
Here.
I think here. That's,
Here.
Yeah.
Take your shirt off, Thomas. Just
Yes,
kidding.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Here, somewhere,
Yeah.
upper lumbar spine,
Um,
lower thoracic spine, that,
Yeah.
under the shoulder blades, just under.
And it's not that I don't use my
Mhm.
back muscles, but I think my abdominal muscles come into play more at that moment.
Yeah.
For me, so every body, the point of that is that every body is different.
I think, Shanna, you're probably like me. You don't even feel when you use your back muscles because your back muscles are so strong.
Super
strong,
strong.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what I feel is that if I do what you do, Thomas, I don't feel that because it's very natural for me. But what I would feel is exactly what you say, Shanna, is that in that shifting, I would feel some engagement just around the front ribs, because that actually counteracts the hollow in my back a little
Exactly.
bit.
I was
Oh,
just going to
exactly,
say
yeah,
this because if I just use the
Yes.
back muscles, I hollow even more, which is
Exactly.
already my tendency,
Right.
and that will make me inefficient.
Indeed. Well, it probably it sends me forward and up, which I don't want in that
Right.
moment.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
defeats the
Yeah.
purpose. And so to stabilize,
Yeah,
essentially,
exactly.
I have to use my abdominal muscles so that it connects the aid to the horse. The whole point of it is, it doesn't even matter what you do, as long as you're connecting your aid to the horse, get the job done.
Yeah, think what you're moving in relationship to in what direction, because any of the things that we say might be because of our own habitual postures that we're trying to counteract.
Sure.
Right, exactly.
So, I might say, oh yeah, I really feel it here, but that's because I have a habit that I need to overcome in the moment.
We all do, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
keeping the integrity of the seat, really. Don't let the horse break you up and divide and conquer you, right? And don't let the horse pull you off the rocker, so to speak. Don't let the horse pull you off the hind legs. And then your body will basically do what it needs to get there. I mean, it's like a reflex for me,
For you now,
for
and for
now,
me now
yeah.
too, but it wasn't always that way. I had to learn it.
Oh, me too. But I think I got there by really thinking, stay on the hind legs. Don't let the horse pull you off of the hind legs because he's trying to pull you
Hold
forward.
your ground. For me,
Yeah,
it was,
exactly, yeah.
hold your ground, and sort of like in a healthy relationship, you have good boundaries and you don't let somebody push you around, It was sort of that, like, you horse, do your thing. I'm not going to get pushed around by you. I'm not going to get pulled forward. I'm not going to get thrown back. I'm going to hold my ground. And you have to kind of work around me,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so those were the mental thoughts going through my head in order to find that stability. So, and then also that I want to, take that weight that arrives into my hands, and refer it right back to the hind legs. I'm not going to hold it. This is not my job. This is not mine.
Exactly,
Like my kid wants me to do things for him. It's like, that's not my job. I hand it right back to him. Same thing. I hand it right back to the horse. Thank you very much. Now you carry yourself. This is your job.
Yeah. So Jackie was saying, okay, use of the half hold to close the circuit. That makes sense. Thank you, Shanna. That's helpful. Talking about your abdominals.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have Thomas's ratio. So the upper abdominal muscles being used to send the weight down and back. Really helpful. Thank you all. Yes, don't get pulled off the hind legs. I love that.
Yeah.
And Jackie says also that, yes, that was a really helpful discussion. Thank you. Using my body to take my body and hence his weight back to the hind legs makes sense for me.
Yeah.
Good, good, good.
Yeah, good.
Sharon's
It's
good.
funny because there was a discussion in the group today about, you know, whether you should keep your spine totally straight when you're doing lateral movements, or have a C-shaped curve, or have a joystick. Well, every time you shift your weight, there'll be a change in length on one side of your spine. So it's never that you're like going, oh, I must do a C shape, or oh, I must be a joystick, or oh, I must keep everything rigid.
Yeah.
Everything takes, if you have a clear intention, I need to shift my weight, everything above and below will take care of it.
Right.
As long as you don't
Form
shift it. Yeah.
That's
And
right.
I think someone said, oh, you know, you just lift your sitting bone, but you don't move anything else. But that's not possible. You can't lift your sitting bone without moving
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
Everything will adjust from
Right.
top to toe, including your ears
Yes.
Right.
I
and
went
your
down this,
eyelashes.
I went down this path for years trying to figure out how can you isolate each body
You
part.
cannot.
You can't.
Mm.
You can't. That's
With
exactly
systems.
the thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
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 I love that. That's why
Yeah.
we get along.
Sharon
Yeah.
says, I like that Shanna has the horse work around you.
Mhm. The horse has his job, you have your job. Keep the
Yeah,
the
exactly.
job
Yeah,
descriptions clear.
yeah. Right. Sharon says, sitting on the hind legs helpful too. Great discussion. And Candace had said, having Catherine weigh in on rider biomechanics is wonderful.
Yes.
I agree. That's
I agree.
very useful.
Even we get something out of it talking here.
I know. So then here, Lynn Duckworth on Q&A says, I find it hard to engage my horse's hind legs at the start of a ride. My instructor likes me to do shoulder in early on, but I find it feels braced and forced probably.
Mhm.
Tonight I did the enlarge, but switched it to 2 or 3 steps out and
Sorry.
straight for a couple of strides, then in again. I found she did come to a bit of a standstill though, and found it hard to get the go, even though she felt more underneath me. Yeah, don't force it, right? Don't, and you have to develop a flow in the ride, right? And you can start with a longish rein and just maybe ride some circles, and then you can try some serpentines or some figure eight. So the whole bending in motion training that used to be sort of the centerpiece of dressage training has 3 phases, right? The first one is bending and turning, single track, circles, voltas, serpentines, figure eights, corners, and so on, right? The second phase is sidestepping with the bend against the direction of travel. So that's your leg yield, enlarging, asking the croup to yield, out on the circles as the first and second test of the inside hind, third test of the outside hind, in the Spanish riding school system. And then it ends with shoulder in and counter shoulder in. Also turn on the forehand in motion belongs into that category, right? So this is the second phase. And then the third phase is the sidestepping with a bend in the direction of travel. And that's haunches in, half pass, renvers, a passade in a sense falls into that category. So if you think of organizing the training of the horse, stick a little bit to this progression, right? In long-term, strategies, as well as structuring the ride within the ride. Start out with some single track, circles, voltas, figure eight, serpentine, something along those lines. Just bending, turning, changing the bend as you change direction. That's a nice suppling exercise and gives you a chance to engage the inside hind leg. And then add a little sidestepping from the inside leg, like the enlarging from the challenge, right? Or ask the croup to yield a little to the outside or a little to the inside, and then bend, flex the horse a little to the outside as the croup comes in, and play with it a little bit. Don't stick with anything for too long. Just do a few strides, change it again. If the horse is already advanced enough, you can do a little shoulder in or shoulder 4. I mean, shoulder 4 is super effective, right? Or counter shoulder 4. And then it develops from there. And then you may find that, of course, these phases overlap a little bit. So you may be able to already do a little haunches in at the walk, but at the trot, maybe you can only do shoulder in or leg yield on the diagonal, right? In the canter, you may not be able to go sideways at all because the horse isn't strong enough yet, right? So the horse will be in different phases of the bending work in the different gaits and so on and so forth, right? And if you take that as sort of a guideline, then you won't get into forcing or shutting the horse down, or you won't get the negative side effects so much. All right. And Carla says, Thomas often describes in his riding lengthening his seat, and I'm not sure how this is done because I can only envision lengthening the spine or leg. Can you describe lengthening the seat? It's the whole body. I mean, it's maybe a sloppy expression, right? I stretch my legs back and down. It's almost like I want to touch the ground with my feet or my heels. And that stretch down gives me the ability to grow taller in the saddle. You know, that's what I'm talking about when I say lengthening the seat. It's everything.
I think it's what we've touched on, isn't it, this evening?
Exactly. We mentioned it earlier.
Exactly. Yeah. So this sense of, stretching down and a little bit back with your legs will give you a feeling of lengthening up. Yeah. It's really grounding. You're grounding yourself downwards in order to get lighter in your pelvis and spine.
Exactly.
It's relevant to all action, all sports. You see, as we're watching the Olympics, you'll see it happen all the time. If you're going to do a high jump, you need to be able to stretch down in order to find the jump up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Catherine mentions that often, right? There's that for something to come up, something else has to go down or push down to get height.
Yes.
Yeah, jumping would be a prime example.
Levers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Levers and how you use your weight in relationship to the ground.
Right.
How you push the ground, the accuracy with which you do that. Yeah.
So Lynn says, thank you, that's really helpful. I'll start following the structure. I think it will help for sure. Yeah, you can't go wrong if you stick a little bit to that, or if you orient, your riding on this, the 3 phases of bending in motion. The Spanish riding school sticks to that. Egon von Neindorf always sticks to that. Neindorf would always say, well, the training progression is corner, volte, shoulder in, haunches in, half pass, right?
Yep.
And that's essentially it, right? Turning and bending, or bending and turning. It's the corner and the volte, and then sidestepping with a bend against the direction of travel is the shoulder in, and then sidestepping with a bend in direction of movement is haunches in and half pass, right? So if you stick to that, you're pretty safe. Carla here is just saying, thank you. I thought that was what you meant by lengthening the seat, but wanted to be sure. I love how you give such clear descriptions of what you're doing with your body. It's so helpful to figure out. Oops. I just jumped here. Figure out if you are on the right track.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. We basically give you what we would have liked to have had.
I know. It'd be great if somebody explained these things to me.
We had to figure it out the hard way.
I would be so much better writer now.
We had some really amazing teachers that gave us amazing exercises and tools and techniques. But as far as a lot of this rider stuff, we hadn't figured out.
It's funny as well with the ski, because I came from the skiing world, and because I was a ski instructor and ski instructor trainer, I had a lot of technique drilled into me. When I stopped training and teaching, I spent 15 years having no lessons at all, because I needed to work it out for myself and find out all the kind of, it was just very necessary. Yeah.
There are a lot of things that are taught in riding that are actually counterproductive. And I assume that skiing is the same.
Yeah, because, I was striving so hard to achieve something which is basically not even functional.
Exactly. This is the rider's life. Yeah. Right. You're told to, put your hips here and your shoulders here and your rib cage here and your elbows here and this there and that there and your leg there. And then pretty soon you're this block of rigidity. And then you wonder what hurt so much when you go home after a ride.
Yeah, no,
your horse
it's mad.
Can't do what you need to do. And if you really follow the principle of form follows function, your body finds the way to balance so that you can get the job done to communicate effectively with your horse.
Yeah, and I just had to lose all that idea of perfection and good form, and just get in and get messy, really, and put myself in super challenging situations which required that I had to find a way. And
Yep, it must
yeah,
be
kind of
really
did in the
hard.
end.
That must have been really hard, actually.
Yeah. Writing is like that too, though, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
especially if somebody rides a lot of young horses, or if somebody specializes on retraining buckers and rearers and bolters and so on, then all the nice riding theory goes out the window, and you have to survive, and you have to make it work, and you have to be practically effective and not get
Yes.
killed if possible, right? So it's basically probably what you did, right? If you ski down really neck breaking slopes, it's like getting on a bucking horse and try not to get killed, right? And somehow, retrain that horse,
Mhm.
So
Yes.
yeah.
I think if there's not too many other
Yes.
the Feldenkrais questions, I'm going to head off. But please ask in the group if anyone's got something that's come out of this. Then I'm
Yes.
around. I'm very good early in the morning, not so good late at night.
And we'll do one more Q&A tomorrow. Are you
Yes, absolutely. I'll come for that. Yeah, of course.
Fabulous.
All right. Good
Super.
night, everybody.
Yeah,
And
night.
see you in the
Thank you,
group.
Catherine.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So Lynn Duckworth is saying, does the context and connection build on what we have learned in this course?
Yes.
Is there? Oh yeah. This was just a small
This was your
taste.
sampler platter.
Yeah, she says this is the first one I've done with you, but finding it so helpful. Oh yeah, we go into a lot more detail, and you get lots more riding exercises, horse exercises, and more Feldenkrais
Yeah, the
lessons.
Feldenkrais and also the imagery lessons. So
Right.
the way we structure our challenges are so that you get a real taste for how we teach, how we communicate, how we work, so that you can really experience, see if you like it or not. If this works for
Right.
you, if this is something a way that works for your learning,
Mhm.
then you're going to love the course. If you're like, I hate all the this, well, then you probably aren't here at this point still watching anyway.
Right.
But, then the course is not a good fit for you. This is our teaching style. If this works for you to learn this way, then you're going to love the course.
Yeah, it's
And-
like a challenge every week, a different one.
Except we don't do all these. It's not as
so many Q&As, yes.
not so many Q&As all at once. So you have
Mhm.
time to digest, practice the exercises. You can record them on video if you want, and to get feedback and so on. But, you have time to work through the content, and then the Q&As and the hot seats are spaced out a little bit more than we have in this challenge. In the challenge, we're trying to really give you a really intensive week. It's a little more than a week this time, but,
No.
whatever.
Who's counting, right?
Who's Portuguese time. Yes.
So I wanted to get back here to Sarah before I forget
Good.
that.
Let's answer a few more questions,
Yeah.
and then we should talk about the
She
course.
said somebody had put Gymkhana bending poles up in the paddock. So I thought, let's have some fun and use them in my
Yeah.
schooling session. We warmed up by doing squares, turn on the haunches and turn on the forehand around the poles.
Mhm.
Kitty weaved in and out in walk nicely. So I tried them in trot. Wow, she felt amazing. Got her in my outside hand from the inside leg, asking the whole row, why did this work so well? Is it because I'm changing the weight back and forth between both hand legs? It's the enlarging,
That's
every time you change direction, you
And
shift the weight, you
constant shifting of
enlarge
weight,
and
right and
change the
left.
bend.
Especially for a horse that tends to brace on one side or braces the rib cage, this constant changing the weight forces them to find a way to stay loose in the rib cage, and this can make the horse feel amazing. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the principle right there.
So, scan here.
Were there questions still on the Q&A?
There were two more.
Should we get to those?
Linda Scarrett has another video.
Okay.
Yeah, we did one yesterday.
Yes, we did.
And Jen, we
okay.
can maybe look at it
Yeah.
in a minute. But first here, Janet says, from one of my sessions today, my mom filmed me, and it seems like I keep my chin too much down. I slouch in my shoulders. Post a video in the group. I'm trying to be more in contact with my body, but barbell is such a big mover that when he braces, it swings through my body. Would it be more effective if I was able to be more still in my upper body?
Jeanette.
That's compensation often. If the horse is a really big mover and you're not absorbing that movement in your hips and knees and ankles, then it travels up your spine, and then often head kind of nods and the shoulders round. It's like where the movement ends up. If you can absorb that movement lower down, hips, knees, ankles, then your upper body can be more uninvolved. It can be straight, and you can sit quietly. So if you have a warm blood, especially with really big waves in the back, like big amplitude between the lowest point of the swing and the highest point of the swing, your spine doesn't have enough range of motion really to absorb that, right? But your hips and knees and ankles do. You have a lot of range of motion in your leg joints. You may have to potentially shorten the stirrups a little bit, so that you in neutral, your leg joints are more flexed. If the stirrups are too long, then the leg joints are very extended. Then there is not much room to accommodate a big wave going up, right? You can only accommodate the wave going down. If you have a shorter stirrup, you can accommodate a big movement from neutral to the highest point of the wave, and then coming down again. That's not a problem. So that's usually where that comes from. Big movers and not enough flexion and extension in your hips, knees, and ankles, so not enough shock absorption, so to speak, in your leg joints. And if you change that, so you're maybe shortening the stirrups, and then think of each trot stride or canter stride as a small squat, where you go up and down, right? You extend your hip and knee joints and you flex them, extend them as the horse goes up, flex them as he comes down. Then your upper body can be a lot quieter, and it will be a lot easier to sit the trot in the canter. Okay, so let's look at.
I just sent you the video.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Find this. Where are we? Yeah, maybe we'll do vignettes.
Video. Her horse is a Shadia.
Oh, nice.
Shadia Arabian. He looks like a Lipizan. That's why I wanted to find out. I looked for her intro.
One.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
And she had an earlier
that.
video from July 22nd, I believe, but this is the video from today.
Oops.
Oh,
Didn't like
it went
that.
away.
It happens sometimes.
She said that he's still irritated with me, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kicking, that's usually the hind legs kicking at the leg or the spur. And he's a little short in the neck here. You may have to let the reins get a little bit longer, so that when you drive, the hind leg can come under. If you keep the reins too short, the neck is short, then it's like you're pushing him against a closed door, right? And then he bounces right back off the closed door and he kicks out because he gets annoyed. It's like you're sending him forward, but you're not allowing him to go forward with the hind legs, right? So if you let the reins get longer, he probably won't do that, I would think. Would be easier with a snaffle than with a double bridle, right?
or at least, to let the curb rein go a little bit
Right,
longer and
yeah,
ride him
exactly.
primarily
Yeah.
on the snaffle for
Yeah,
this.
if he does stuff like that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't ride him with a double bridle. I would ride with a snaffle and fix this so it's on the leg and supple, because he's pushing the croup up too. It's needs a little bit more space in the front. See, the neck is
yeah.
short, so the hind legs don't have the space to reach forward. So you're asking him to step forward and under with the hind legs, but you're not allowing him at the same
And-
time, right?
He's getting short and ducking
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
and making it so that you can't actually reach the hind leg
Yeah.
with your half halts to help
Yeah,
flex the hind leg. So
yeah.
I would ride with the snaffle or, tie up the bradoon or the curb rein, sorry, and ride just on the bradoon and so that you can really connect him,
Yeah, and when the neck is that short, that's a no-win situation. Then he'll tuck the chin in and push the croup up, and he'll run, or he'll kick out at you. But you won't be able to get him into an uphill balance with that. Yeah, so completely drop the curb reins or just ride with a snaffle.
Yeah.
And
So he kind of just ducks behind. He actually he doesn't really come authentically into the contact the way you want. I realize you probably know this. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, blockage in the hips and the pole a little bit.
Yeah, God, he's a cute horse though.
He's a nice horse. Yeah, it's very attractive. Yeah, it looks very
Looks
much
like a
an
Libizon.
Epicenter,
That's why I wanted to
know.
see what it was.
Yeah, and you can see how the Canter becomes impure there, because the hind legs can't really come through enough. Then it looks a little forfeity or has a bit of a trot feel in the Canter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably a little frustrating feeling,
yeah,
right? So,
exactly. Yeah, it'll fix itself with a snaffle, and then engage the hind legs, let him go forward. Give him enough space with the reins so the hind legs can reach forward, and also ask him to push, not just engage, but also push forward a little bit. So you create a connection from back to front, from the hind legs to the bit, and then you create the connection from the bit to the hind legs again with transitions and so yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the energy has no place to go, right?
Yeah.
Like you're driving, you want him to step under and so on and so forth, but then it's blocked. Yeah, it's blocked in the back, it's blocked in the pole.
yeah, it doesn't
probably.
really come through, and you can
Yeah,
feel that.
Yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
you can feel that. You just don't have the tools to fix it yet.
And then he's
Yeah.
frustrated because he has no place to go. You ask him to step forward, and he's like, "Where? There's no room for me. There's no room
Yeah,
for
so
my hind leg."
yeah.
So
It's like there's a dam here, and so the water gets backwashed,
Mhm,
right?
yeah,
It creates this
exactly.
backwash thing, and it gets stuck there, and you want it to come through.
Yeah. Okay, so
What was
yeah,
this? Who was this?
it's a whole conversation going on
Oh.
here.
I missed out on that.
I know. Hold on, it's like oh my god, I don't know where it starts. Maybe here. Okay, Christiana says, ride a green horse will teach you a lot. Yeah. Canter says that's what my instructor does. He puts me in challenging situations and makes me work it out. It's interesting. Sure, it's interesting for him. More entertaining for him than for you. I know. And then this was a Christy Bullock says, thank you so much to all of you for your generosity of time and advice. I have lessons in a school in London and Hackers on steep hills and forestry and on the moors in Yorkshire, but don't have my own horse. So I'm taking advantage of your wonderful advice tutorials in the hope of keeping company with PhD students. Will help this returning novice get back into riding in my 60s after being a games maker at the London Paralympics, dressage and smelling horses again. That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I know. Carla Powell says, I lived in Germany and took lessons 3 times a week, and they told me everything was wrong from the top of my head to my toes. And now here I am 30 years later, still trying to sort it all out.
Yeah. Well,
That's universal. That's universal.
It's kind of lifelong.
Yeah, exactly. And, Sharon says, Thomas, you had me shorten my stirrups, and it seems like this has helped me to apply the Feldenkrais work more effectively. It's interesting.
Yay.
One change with a large impact. Yeah, a lot of for a while there, like in the 90s and early 2000s, there was this trend to stirrups that were way too long.
Yes.
And then you don't have good stable support, then you feel wobbly, you feel insecure, you grip, you tighten things, you can't sit well. And if you just shorten the stirrups to the point where they are not a nuisance, but they're actually helping you and they're supporting you, and you feel like you can sit deeply in the horse, and have your weight resting on the largest possible area, then everything gets easier, from there.
I remember in the 90s, it was like a mark of prestige to
no,
lengthen
yeah.
your stirrups longer and longer and longer, regardless of whether you could actually support that with your seat or whether it was even, a good length for you, and and so anybody that had even a normal length stirrup was considered too short, at that time. It's changed since then, but in the 90s, it was kind of crazy.
George Teodorescu actually started that.
Really?
Yeah, in the 80s. I think he was the first one who rode with longer stirrups, and then everybody copied that. And it just went too far. And because the seat gets unstable when your stirrups are too long, then saddle makers made the knee and thigh blocks bigger to compensate, to hold you in. basically because you didn't have the stability from your seat with these long stirrups, you needed support from the saddle. And it's almost going back to the Renaissance, right? Where the people rode with super long stirrups and almost completely straight, extended
like
legs.
the jousters,
The jousters, exactly.
you know,
yeah.
they would have
Yeah.
totally straight legs, but they would brace the leg into the saddle and it was fixed. And they needed that stability to be able to, you know, joust.
So they wouldn't fall off. Yeah. And then the pommel and cantle were very high, and the whole thigh was encased. And that Renaissance saddle almost made a comeback a little bit in the dressage saddles of the 90s and early 2000s.
And that only works if you brace against the movement of the horse. If you want to sit into and with the movement of the horse, you need to have angles in your joints. Sorry, we got off on a tangent there.
Always do that. So Janet says, thank you. I love riding him on longer reins, but my trainer always says to keep him short. But as you can see, he hates it. I will for sure try. Thank you so much. When he's on the aids and have a good day, he's a dream to ride. I can see that. Actually, but he's very smart. So we're a bit stuck at this point. So getting help is amazing. Yeah, I would ride him with a snaffle for a while.
Yeah.
Start with slightly longer reins that allow the hind legs to come through. And when they're through and you can flex them, then you can shorten the reins again. This is back to front and then front to back again.
He'll shine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's a cool horse.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. I like him a lot. It's my type of horse. Yeah.
I know. Looks like the Pluto Lipizans that I used to ride. I was like, oh, I know this kind of horse.
I know. Well, it's good. He's not afraid to speak up, so to speak. He lets you know when you're not letting him do the job, so to speak. You're asking him to do a job at the same time. You're not allowing him to do the job. That's frustrating, right? So I think with the snaffle, and first a little bit more, you know, releasing kind of attitude in the hands, he'll be able to engage, and then you can sit on the hind leg. When you feel like the hind leg has arrived, sit on it, and then you can gradually shorten the reins, and that's fine. And then you can go back to the double bridle when you feel like you've resolved this issue. Right?
You know, going back to the snaffle doesn't mean you have to abandon the double bridle forever. This is temporary.
Yeah, Jeanette says, yes, he speaks loudly. But it's good. I like that. I like that the horses should have a voice, and they should tell you when they're annoyed with you.
We
and,
honor that, you know.
Yeah. So then
with our own horses too, the horses we train, we honor that when they speak up. We're like, okay, interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting, you know, what's resulted in, or what caused this, you know. What is the horse trying to say? You know, what does it mean? How can we do better?
Yeah.
Well, can we talk about the horse?
Yeah, we can.
Do you have the link still?
Sure. Let me. Oops, hold on a second.
As you all know, it's been no secret. We're starting our 2021 Contact and Connection course on Monday. Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
And we would love to have you in it. This challenge has been a sampler buffet of what we have in the course. I think we can scroll past this part. We'll drop the link into the feed.
Sure.
So you can look at it. Oops.
Oh, actually, I need.
You have to stop the share.
Stop the share. I'll get back to this in a second.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Oh, there it is. No.
So you can look at it on your own.
Actually, let me also see if I can find the Zoom, not the Zoom, the YouTube. Yeah,
great. Okay. Go back to the page again, the enrollment page.
Here.
Just scroll down because
now we have to share it now.
I know, but I was going to scroll down before you did that. Oh well. Okay.
So you admire Shanna's beautiful artwork.
I was hungry. Can you tell?
I know it's food themed.
I know. So let's just get down to where we talk about the course. You can read all the other stuff. We have a little chart here of symptoms and causes, which is really kind of cool. I tried to make it so that there's education in the enrollment page, not just enrollment. Okay, so actually, okay, we can scroll past this part. You can read all of this on your own, but contact and connection course. This is the second time we've offered this course. We first offered it in 2019. And so it's been 2 years since we have done this course. It's about time to bring it back. I know we had many people requesting it for quite a while. We just had some work to do in the background to get it ready because we wanted to add some things and make some changes. And so we've done that. And so now it's ready to go. And so this is a 16-week course. It's like the challenge, but less intense. So you don't have to show up every day for 3 days a week or anything like that. There are, let's go through what's in the course. So there's the theory, like we had on day one. We had a theory lesson where we talked about these are the, we go into the biomechanics, especially in great depth, because everything should be biomechanically based. And it should be in line with classical principles. This is very important. If it's in contradiction to that, then then it's not going to keep the horse sound. So we also have gymnastic exercises like what you experienced on day 2 with the enlarged slow down exercise. That's the beginning exercise, and we have that exercise in the course, but we build upon that with many more exercises, and it builds from there. We have instructional videos where we teach you how to ride the exercises strategically, what to do, when, where, what, why, how, how to strategize, how to, if problems come up, and how to set the horse up for success in your exercises. And then also in most of the exercises, not every single one, but most of them, we have rider demo videos. These are where students of ours recorded themselves writing the videos, writing the exercises, and we recorded commentary over them, explaining what's happening and pointing things out like we did in the hot seats today and yesterday and last week. So explaining what's going on, what can do better, how to fix this, so that you can watch these and you can see, oh, my horse makes that same mistake, or I make that mistake. And so you can see how you need to ride this strategically so that you can circumvent that and you don't make these mistakes if possible. We have Feldenkrais lessons as well with Catherine and Charlotte Zetterberg, who you did not meet in this challenge, but she is on our team. She's another Feldenkrais instructor. Catherine and Charlotte work together. They're not in person, but they work together in our courses to provide you a really amazing full learning experience with the Feldenkrais lessons. Some lessons are at the barn with your horse, and some of them are at home, like you experienced on day 3. We have imagery lessons like we had on day 1 with the Pelbo. And we have, I think, 1 for each module of this course. There are 10 modules. We also have Q&A coaching sessions like we did today, where we answer, you can ask questions, we answer your questions, we talk it out, you can ask questions on other people's problems, and so on. And these are held every 2 weeks. So you can fit that into your schedule, right? Even if you have a busy life, usually you can fit in at least 1 Q&A every 2 weeks. And if you can't watch them live, it's no problem. You can post the questions beforehand. If you have questions, even if you can't make it live, you can post your questions into a Google Doc that we provide, and you can watch the recording afterwards. So here's a breakdown of all the modules. Do you want to talk about this real quick?
Yeah, maybe not too
Yeah,
much.
just go over them real quick. Just
so yeah, starting out
you don't
with,
have to list what's in them.
exactly, why contact. Some people think that, why do I need to bother having a
What
ring
is the
contact?
point?
What's the
Why
point
is this
exactly?
important?
Exactly. So we talk about these things that starts, the whole conversation.
And I think really important in that one is honest connection versus fake outline.
Right,
I think
exactly.
that is super, super relevant to most people. Most people really want a grasp on how to delineate the difference between what is fake, when it's fake, and when it's real.
Exactly.
So we go into that.
Not just a round neck and a vertical nose, but it's an energy connection. So that's really the big difference.
Yes.
And then, module 2, the aspects of contact and connection, because there is so much that goes into a good contact balance, pushing versus carrying, straightness, suppleness, relaxation.
The balance. I mean, it's really all about balance.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. And then, theory, on module 3, what does that even mean on the bit? What's the right amount of contact? So we
touched upon that in this challenge.
Yeah, we took a lot of questions from students and participants and so on, and try to answer them and include them in the course. So that's what's the right amount of contact? How much is too much, or how much is too little? What's the right rein length? That sort of thing. There's questions that are asked constantly. So we put them in the course, so I answered once and for all. So,
and then module 4, basically creating that rein contact now. How do you get your horse on the bit? The ingredients, how do you pick up the reins? How do you shorten the reins? How do you get a light, steady, even contact? How do you get the horse to reach forward into the contact? That's a big one for a lot of people. And how do I ride my horse over the back and into the outside rein? And you often hear the horse needs to become over the back, over the back and into the outside rein. But how do you get that? And how do you feel if the contact is correct? How do you identify how much contact a certain horse needs? So we answer all of that in that module. And then module 5, I think this is one of the most popular modules, the seat and contact, the interplay between the two.
There's always the horse side of being on the bit, and then there's the rider's side, right? The horse has to be straight and balanced and supple in order to be able to go on the bit and through the back, but the rider has to allow that and facilitate that with their seat, right? If you're stiff and crooked and uncoordinated in your seat, the horse won't be able to go on the bit because the seat won't allow him to be balanced and straight and supple. So we talk about the rider's seat at length and what you can do to help the horse be balanced on the bit and so on. That's where Feldenkrais plays a big role. The imagery lessons play a big role. And then, of course, in order to get the horse on the bit, you have to apply aids, right?
Module 6.
Module 6, exactly. So,
and all of these things: how to frame and turn the shoulders, lifting a shoulder, lifting the withers. How do you develop a light, friendly hand that's always ready to yield? This is Egon van Nijndorf's.
Egon van Nijndorf would always say,
saying,
light hand, friendly hand, the hand is always ready to yield. He would repeat that in every lesson.
Which sounds wonderful, but then how?
It's a great image, but how do I get there? What does that look like? How do I do that?
So we went in depth into that. And then
contact, half halts.
Contact in motion, module 7, half halt. And the half halt depends on where the horse's feet are at any point in time. And so how do you figure out where your horse's feet are? And so we go in depth into that and connecting the leg to the ground and the weight, because this is integral to being able to change the balance of the horse. Half halt, essentially. And then how do you keep a good rein contact during your transitions? And then also we went into bending rein aids. So, how do these play into the whole thing? How does bending play into contact?
Right, exactly. With the reins, you can do different things, right? You can half hold, you can bend, you can elevate, you can do a number of things, right? And so we explain different rein aids in the course. And here, how do I keep a good rein contact during the transitions? Because a lot of horses invert or fall apart when you ride a transition from one gait to another, right?
Yes,
so we'll talk
as
about
we saw watching the videos today.
Exactly. When you change gait, the footfall sequence changes, the coordination changes, the balance changes a little. So these are vulnerable moments, right? Where horses tend to fall apart, riders tend to lose their seat.
On the other hand, they're power moments too. These are the moments where if you polish those moments, everything else gets better. So just by working on those transitions, you improve everything else. You improve the trot, you improve the canter, you improve the walk, you improve the quality of everything else you do. I love transitions. So module 8, contact problems, all of the problems that can come up. And so we went into each problem isolated on their own so that you can use that as a resource library, for instance. So
exactly. All the different things that can go wrong. Too light, too heavy, inconsistent routing,
uneven, pole twisting and tilting, all of mouth and tongue problems, all of these things. And then module 9, we went further into that, more contact issues, and
because there are lots of them.
And we had to break it up. We had to break it up over more than one module. So, unsteady hands, unsteady head position, the horse curling up, false bend, inverting, better contact in a bitless bridle, one hand higher than the other. I have a kid knocking on the door.
And then, module 10, we go into more advanced concepts like the relationship between elevation and pole flexion and collection. They all have something to do with the rein contact too. And kinetic chains and blockages, because if you feel an issue in one of the reins, that it's usually a domino effect that leads to that odd feeling in the rein, and it comes from somewhere else. And these blockages tend to travel or transmit themselves from one end of the body to the other. So we talk about that. And then I thought we should include the French tradition, ramener, rassembler, légèreté. They all have to do with rein contact and so on.
Yeah,
So,
even if you're not of the French tradition,
exactly. You
it's
should know what
really
it is. Yeah.
useful to understand,
Exactly, yeah.
and there might actually be parts of it that you want to implement.
Exactly. Yeah, you
here
might
and
get some
there.
interesting
Yeah.
ideas or inspiration from that as well. And it's good to know at least what people are talking about when they talk about ramener and rassembler and so on.
Yeah, so that you don't, have to pretend that you understand what they're talking about.
Mm.
You have a little bit of an understanding of.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So, and anyway, so lifetime access. In all of our courses, you have lifetime access. Never goes away. So we did that so that you can travel at your own speed. However fast or slow you want to go with your horse. However much or little time you have.
This is every single one of our courses. We do
Yeah.
lifetime access. So
Hmm.
as long as the internet is still there and we're still alive, you get lifetime access. We keep it going as long as we can.
Right.
So, and also in this course, you also get all future upgrades of the course automatically of your level. So we have 2 levels.
Mhm.
Let's go into the levels.
Yeah.
That you can,
Premium and basic.
okay. Basic level. Where's basic?
I don't think you specify.
We
Basic.
did.
Level is the course material, right? The premium
Okay,
level then
okay, I
has
have to take a look at
additional
that. Anyway,
features.
basic level is everything that we had here. I'm sorry.
Right, exactly. Course
Okay,
content.
so all of this is the basic, what's in the basic level course. There we go. So it's all of the course content, all of the videos,
Mhm.
The Feldenkrais lessons, imagery lessons, and the bi-weekly Q&A coaching
Mhm.
sessions. So that's all included, but then we have an additional level, premium level. So you get all of that, plus you get access to live hot seat coaching, whether you want to, like we did today and yesterday and last week, where we analyze your videos and we give you feedback. And so
Mhm.
even if you don't want to submit your own videos,
Mhm.
you get to watch everyone else's videos and you
Right.
can learn through that. A lot of people really like this so that they can develop their
Mhm.
eye and their
Mhm.
understanding. Of course,
Yeah.
it's invaluable to have
Yeah.
personal feedback for yourself.
The hot seats are usually just me, not Catherine. And
No, she's going to show up.
she will show up.
Yeah, maybe not all of them, but she said she
And
wants to
somewhere.
show
Okay.
up for maybe one a month.
Okay.
So we do one hot seat coaching session for each module.
Mhm.
I have a kid knocking at the door again.
Okay,
We don't
well, not to
understand.
come back in.
Amira, go away. So Catherine said she would like to be
Okay.
there
Yeah,
for
great.
one a month.
That's
So
awesome, yeah.
we'll figure out which one she'll be there so you can show up. Thomas,
Yeah.
talk about the
yeah.
accountability.
And then, the accountability pods, that's a new feature we introduced last year. So this is a really nice feature that's become very popular. We assign, participants to a group essentially, and you can then meet in Zoom meetings regularly, on your own.
Yeah,
And it's a support group, really.
Each pod does, comes up with their own way that they want to do it. But most of them like to do Zoom meetings, sort of like we are here, but everyone's in together.
Mhm.
They can share their videos. They can get help from each other on, the writing, or just support to get through the content,
Mm.
or some of them help each other with the tech issues. How do I upload a video?
Mm.
Things like that. And many times they become really good friends outside of the course.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps you, check on each other. If somebody seems very quiet, you can check if they're doing okay, if they
Yeah,
need
give them
help.
support, if they
yeah.
lost their horse or they're sick or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
Everybody's
Which
kind
is
of there for
frustrated
them.
and overwhelmed, so you
Yeah.
get emotional support, and it lowers the dropout rate drastically, and it increases
It
the
does.
success rate drastically.
Drastically. It keeps
Mhm.
people going when things get a little bit
Mhm.
harder, which happens no matter what you want to do that's
Mhm.
big in your life. You're
Right.
going to, everybody comes in with all this momentum and motivation, and they're inspired, and they're full of, everything,
Mm.
and then you get frustrated, or
Mm.
life happens, right?
Mm.
All these things happen, and it can be hard to pull yourself back.
Mhm.
But when you have a group of people that is looking for you, you have to answer to them. And
Right.
that is really helpful. And they care. It's not just they're like, where were you? But they're like, are you okay?
Mm.
Can I help
Mm.
you?
Mm.
What can we do for you? That means so much. And that really helps you through those little hard spots that everyone has in whatever, in the writing journey, but in any journey, and so we try to do that as a group in our Facebook group as well, which you also get access to as a premium level member. But it's nice to have a smaller, more intimate group too.
Yeah.
So as part of a premium level member, you get the exclusive Facebook group. It's just for this course. It's just for premium level members. It's like the challenge group. So you can post your questions in there. People post their videos. And there's discussion that happens amongst the people, amongst us. We give feedback. Catherine, Charlotte, Thomas, me, our assistant instructors as well. Marcella, Carolyn, Nora a little bit, Kristen a little bit here and there. We all give you feedback on things. Another option also that you get at premium level are Loom feedback videos. You may have seen that Thomas posted some into the Facebook group where people posted their videos into the group, and he recorded a video over their video with commentary like we did in the hot seat. So some people that just, they don't want to have to sit through a whole hot seat session, or they want feedback quicker. They don't want to have to wait for the hot seat session. They want quicker feedback. They like to do the Loom feedback videos. Some people, they prefer to do it that way. That's your option. You can do that. So we have enrollment open through until the course starts on August 2nd. That's next Monday. So we have enrollment open until then. We do have a 100% 30-day money-back guarantee, because we want you to get in and try it and make sure you love it. We don't want you to stay there if you don't love it. We want you to take the risk, or let us take the risk. Basically, we want you to take that jump. We want you to give it a try and see if it'll work for you. So we enable you to do that by giving you this 30-day guarantee. If you're not happy for any reason, no hard feelings, just let us know. You get your full enrollment feedback, everything. So we have a whole bunch of bonuses too, and we'll go over these really quick, but I'm taking away one bonus. I'm going to take it away actually at 9 a.m. my time tomorrow. So that's 9, 10, 11 hours from now. One of these bonuses is going to go away. And if you like these bonuses, you're going to cry, because it's going to be the best one. Well, I think it's the best one. So it's going to go away tomorrow morning. So what we have for bonuses, we have a short course called the Writer Development Series. It's actually ongoing. Some of them you'll have instant access to. The ones that are already done, those are recordings. It's a series of topics that we record with Catherine McCrum. We record them live, so there's some coming up, and there's one actually coming up next. No, I'm sorry. Don't we have one this week? Or wait, no. I had to figure it out. Okay, we have one coming up on August 13th. That's the next one, and it's called Time Travel for Writers. So that should pique your interest. It's an interesting topic.
Mhm.
So there's all sorts of interesting topics that we talk about. We do one a month for a period of time.
Mhm.
And so you get access to all of those. You get all of the downloadable recordings from this challenge. So if you wanted to re-listen to these Q&As or something,
Mhm.
they all do go away on August 2nd for everyone that doesn't join the course, but you get downloadable recordings if you join the course. So also we have a series of master classes that you get access to right away. One is the role of tempo and speed on the horse's soundness. Of course, tempo and speed play a role in contact and connection, and that's why we included it into this. There's good information in there that can help you with your contact and connection issues. Also, what is stirrup stepping masterclass? So, because we talk about stirrup stepping, this is a weight aid that we apply into the stirrup. But a lot of people always have questions about it.
Mhm.
So we included this masterclass into there. You can get your questions answered. You can get some exercises to try, some sample exercises. And of course, in the course, we have some too.
Mhm.
So masterclass on the full pass, which is an exercise, but it's not in any dressage test. So most people don't know what it is. So we did a whole masterclass on explaining what the full pass is
Mhm.
and how to write it, how to use it in your training. Also, the half halt, so important. Everybody will always wants to know how actually do you half halt. So we go in depth into that in our masterclass. Also, we have a series of 7 Feldenkrais lessons called How Can Feldenkrais Help Writers? This is actually a free course that we taught, but we're giving you the downloadable recordings so that you can do them anytime, any place without having to have access to the internet. Also, a recording on 3 tips to improve your rein contact, 3 things you must not do if you want good rein contact, how to improve the horse's top line, which is related to contact and connection, and how to get your horse on the bit. This was a bonus training that we did at one point. You get that immediately. Also, a mindset recording on failing forward, how to embrace your mistakes, and also how to seize and create opportunities in your riding. And also, this is actually one of the how do I get a light, steady, even rein contact? This is actually some content that's in one of our modules, but we went deeper into it in a live training. So you get access to that as well. Also, another recording on the circle of the aids. If you don't know what that is, you're going to love this. It's super interesting. And this is a new bundle, the Virtual Elite bundle. This is a we've been giving this to our What, Why, How course alumni already, but as part of this, we wanted to include this in here too. It's a series of recordings of videos from, for example, Nuno Oliveira, different writers from the Spanish Writing School, where we recorded commentary over them and explained what we see, what's going on, what you should pay attention to, so that you can develop your eye. And we are going to record some new ones to include in there as well. So right now there's 11 in there. They're super cool, really, really neat, really instructive. I actually ended up watching a couple the other day because I'd forgotten about them. And I watched them and I was like, wow, these are really good. And so I was like, we must include these. So that's why I've included them here. But then we decided we're going to record some new ones. Can I announce what they're going to be about? Okay, using videos from the Olympics right now that are going right now in Tokyo. We're going to record a commentary over them, explaining what we see, what's going on. Not everybody's ride, but certain rides that we're going to choose to do commentary about that are really interesting for developing your eye, developing your understanding. And so you can see those riders in the context of what you're learning here as well. So those are the bonuses, and one of them is going away tomorrow morning. Well, our time tomorrow morning, if you're in our time zone. So 11 hours from now, I'm taking one bonus away. So we have the pricing plans here for the premium level and the basic level. There are also, let's go ahead and stop the share. You can click the link to get all the information on that. There, we offer also different currencies and payment plans. So you can pay by full payment, 3 months, or spread it out over 6 months. So, and yeah, the currencies, euros, US dollars, British pound, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar, I believe. Maybe I've forgotten one. I think I'm forgetting. But yeah, so there's many currency options so that you can purchase it in your currency and you don't have to convert it on your end. So, and if you have any questions about the course, or whether it's suitable for you, or the payment plans, or you have problems or anything, you can ask in the challenge group, or you can email us at rittertressage@gmail.com, and we will take care of that. We will answer you and help you determine whether this is a good fit for you right now, your horse right now. If you have a super green horse, it's probably not. Like I had a question the other day, somebody had a really green horse and wanted to know. They said, it's probably, you might want this course on your horizon, but right now it's not the right fit. So, I'm not going to try to force you into a course that's not going to be suitable for you right now. It's not the way we work. Yeah. So, yeah. And you're welcome to ask questions right now too, if you have any. But
so here, Yvonne Carr says, I've enjoyed this evening discussion so much. I've had a couple of weeks off from online course, been on holiday, and saw my sister for first time in 2 years. Lovely.
oh,
Back to writing this week and focus on all I've been learning so far. All I would say to anyone considering starting a Ritter course is go for it. You'll be part of a supportive community. The way things are explained in so many ways suits different ways of learning. I'm an adult learner with minimal writing experience until a couple of years ago. Learning the basics in a non-judgmental and supportive environment is fantastic. We all learn at our own pace. It was a big decision for me initially to join an online course, but I've never regretted it once since I did. Thomas and Shanna, all the team around them, and all fellow participants will support you. I think I'm a quieter observer, but learn so much from everyone. Can't imagine not being part of it now. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yvonne, thank you, Yvonne.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And somebody else said, yeah, Sharon said all the courses are amazing. Highly recommend. Thank you, Sharon. So yeah, Sharon said watching videos extremely helpful. Even just watching, you learn a lot and can go try suggestions. The pods, well worth it. Make new friends. The more you engage, the more friends you make and learn. Yes, if you're undecided between basic and premium, let me just say, just go with premium. You're really not going to regret it. If for any reason you say, you know what, I want to go back down to basic, we can refund the difference to you and put you back down into basic. If for some reason you say, I don't want the Facebook group, I don't want all that support, I don't want to hear all of this, that's fine, But if you're on the fence whether to go with basic or premium, I really recommend premium because you're going to get so much more support and so much more connection. Pardon the pun, but connection between other people. And this really enhances your learning experience so much. You get support either way. I mean, with basic and premium, we do the Q&As, you get that, your questions answered regardless, but there's just layers and layers and layers more of support in premium.
So Sarah says, thank you both so much for answering my question earlier. I had to leave the meeting, so just catching up now. Your help has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's nice. Yeah, Heather Warburton says, going to be busy next week. Katie McGatchy, at least 3 of our pod are doing this together. Such a support with a minimum of 2 courses to be doing. I'm so excited, and my horse will be relieved if I can give her an easier ride. I've been looking through the additional material there. There's so much amazing information.
Are you going through the bonuses?
Sharon says, your friends truly do support you. You see people on Zoom, and it makes it very nice to have the support with all of this in common. Yeah. It's
very heartwarming for us, even just to observe it all and watch everyone connect and build these bonds. It's really amazing. especially in these times where a lot of people were under lockdown and they couldn't get together with other people. So this was their main source of connection, you know, over the lockdowns. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Katie McGatchy says, I've really been enjoying the RDS, love it every time.
Yeah, RDS is the Writer Development Series. These are these monthly talks we do with Catherine on a series of topics. Yeah, they're thought-provoking for us too. We never know where it's going to go. Like we have a topic that we're going to talk about, but often it goes off onto some other tangent. And, you know, we're discussing things like we did here, but also everybody on the Zoom call, you know, provides more for the conversation. You know, you're not live on there, but you're commenting like we are here.
Jeanette says, I can see where Barbara gets his head from Klaus Krischwitz to Klavi Mantua. It's amazing to see the similarities. I laughed a lot when I saw him.
Yeah, there's, you know, that's a Shagya Arabian, but the Shagya Arabians are in the Lipizaners. Yes, in the Siklavi line. Yeah.
Heather Pond Wilson says, thank you so much for tonight. I've only enrolled in the basics. If I can afford it, is it possible to upgrade to premium?
Yes, it is. Just email ritterdrassage@gmail.com. They're preparing it right now. It's not ready just yet. They'll have it ready tomorrow, the upgrade link, because we've had a lot of people requesting to upgrade.
And Heather says, the trouble is I get sick and often fall behind.
I know.
Yeah, happens.
The thing is, if you upgrade to premium now, you'll always have premium. So you'll get the automatic, you'll be in the course the next time we run it, and the next time we run it, and the next time, and you'll always be in the premium level.
Exactly.
So even if you fall behind this time when we run it again, you're in there, you're in the course, you get it automatically. Yeah. At premium level. So you get all that support ongoing, really.
Catherine says, Shanna just said this course is not suitable for green horse. How green? I'm riding a newly backed horse and she's just learning what the rein means. Should I do this later? I've learned so much in the challenge, which has been super helpful. Thank you so much. We're both so much more relaxed and enjoying our sessions so much more.
Oh, that's so nice. I would say the course content, the exercises are going to be too advanced for her. You might, it's up to you. You might decide you want to take the course now so that you can learn the theory, but just don't try to pressure yourself to do the exercises with the horse right now. So that you're staying a little ahead of her, you learn. And then when we rerun the course again, you can then, you know, take part in the exercises, the hot seat and everything. That's up to you. Or you can wait till the next time we offer that. I don't know when it'll be. Probably either at the end of this year or next year. More likely next year, but you never know. But yeah, you know, it's up to you, but probably most likely the exercises are going to be too advanced for her. Right now, that'll change.
And Katie McGatchy says, hi, yes, there is a title, but who knows, like the RDS, right? She says a half hour in, sometimes you end up erasing your note title and rewriting a new one. And Catherine says, thank you. I think I should do the top line course. Yes, that would probably be better for the young horse.
Yeah, that's where we do, you know, it's a lot of groundwork. We do the lunging, double lunging, long reining work in hand. In that course, it's all groundwork. But yeah, it's a great course for a young horse. At some point, we might even do a course that's really suitable, specifically targeted to young horses. We don't have one put together right now, but at some point, something that we'd like to do. But the top line course would be a good course for a horse like that. Yeah. And you can, of course, it's in our store, I believe. Right now, you can go get the course. Right now, it's not actively running right now, but we will run it again at some point, maybe even soon. I'm undecided on trying to fill a place and decide which course to put in the place. So that's one of the runs in the running. So it might come up soon. Otherwise, it'll come up in the next 6 months.
So Linda Skirt says, I'm struggling to afford the basic level, so it's a huge stretch for me to sign up.
I understand.
I'm worried without the support of the community and premium level. I'm not going to learn enough to be able to do it at home by myself.
If you're struggling at the basic level, I would say stay with the basic level for now. You can, if you find you can scrap together the money later or something, then you can upgrade at any point to the premium. Okay. But I don't want you struggling so much that you are financially, that you aren't able to feel comfortable. I want you to feel comfortable with your level of participation. You can always upgrade it later. Okay.
So here Lynn Duckworth says, my horse is working at novice elementary dressage level UK. I feel like this will be perfect as I feel the elusive connection is hindering my progress. Do we all get Loom or hot seat for each module?
At the premium level, there is a hot seat session for each module, and there are looms throughout the course. So wherever you want, whatever you want feedback on, you can get feedback on with looms. Yeah. Yeah, and if your horse is already competing at novice level, your horse is not too green. It's perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for your questions, guys. Here's another comment.
Christiana says, so sorry that the vet get my saved money, but I counted for the next one. Yeah,
I know.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
The vets do that. Darn horses.
Oh. Carla Powell says, I'm signing off. This has been really great. I feel that my investment in this course and the What, Why, How course was the best way I could spend my money. I have already learned more than I would have riding with an instructor in my arena. You're so available to help and answer questions, unlike most trainers I've come across. Oh, thank you. That's
Thanks.
really nice.
That's really important
nice.
to us. That's what we try to do. Yeah.
And Naomi says, if it's not too much trouble, please have a young horse course ready for biggies, starting under saddle next September. Meanwhile, I will learn all I can through the myriad of courses.
Yeah, it'll happen when it happens. It's
well,
on
we have an arena GPS for young horses that gives you exercise suggestions.
But it's not for starting, it's for a remount. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it's for horses that have been going under saddle for, I don't know, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that.
So Naomi, it's the young horse edition if you don't have it already. Yeah. And we'd like to put together, maybe we'll do a course that's kind of centered around exercises in that GPS.
Yeah. We're starting a couple of young horses.
We are.
So yeah, at some point we'll have to film them a little bit and do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point we do have to film them. I have more ideas than I have hours in the day.
Very true.
Yes. And if I'm videoing a horse, that means I'm not riding. So there's that. Yeah. Let's see.
On YouTube, Darlene Dawkins says, your help permeates through to my training. It's so appreciated, the level of explanation and education I've gained from Bridle dressage.
Thank you, Darlene. Really nice. And Darlene's in the course. She's enrolled.
Yay.
Yes. So welcome.
Welcome to the course.
Yes.
Carla says posting trot mini course.
Posting trot. Wow.
That's interesting. Yeah, posting is not that easy actually to do it well.
I know.
But people struggle with it. Maybe someday we'll do something about posting. Maybe not a mini course, but something.
Yeah, I think that if we do something like that, we should do it with Catherine here in person.
Yeah,
and then put something together, and teach it live or something. I don't know, some sort of thing. But yeah, I think it'd be better for working together in person on that. Yeah.
Interesting.
So maybe. Anyway, so I think we should wrap it up. It's been 2 hours, 15 minutes. Yeah, so we are going to do this again tomorrow, same time, same channel.
Last time tomorrow.
Yes, and that'll be the last one for definite. And then we start the course on Monday. And so I would love to see you in the course. If you have any questions, again, just email bridledressage@gmail.com. Go ahead and look through the enrollment page, see if that's something you would like to do. And maybe we'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see you in the course.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll do another challenge someday.
Yeah, we will, for sure.
Sooner or later.
For sure. Trying to figure out what other
Yeah.
course we're gonna
Yeah,
release.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Suzanne says, thank you so much for your generosity. It's awesome what we learned.
Good. I'm glad
Good,
if it's useful.
Good. We
That's
want you
Yeah.
to, we want to benefit your life and your writing and your horse. And
Mm.
yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very good.
thanks. I
Thank
have to go
you.
make dinner.
Yeah.
So, bye,
See you
everyone.
tomorrow.